The National Press Club of the Philippines, or NPC, is today among the country's oldest but the biggest national organization of active members of the press. Formally incorporated and registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission on October 29, 1952, its founders include some of the country's leading journalists who went on to become among the most respected names in the country's politics and in the journalism profession. The NPC building's inauguration in December of 1955 was attended by no less than Philippine President Ramon Magsaysay. Over the years, the NPC building has become among the most prominent landmarks in the city of Manila, the country's capital. Its leading members would serve our country and our people on the basis of what they believe is good and best for all. Today, the NPC is proud that this legacy of continuing service to the nation remains at the core of its members' beliefs and principles. Where the government can turn to for help in its mission to instill the spirit of good governance in public service. And from its primary purpose of serving as second home for members of the press, where they can relax and socialize after a day of hard work in the field, chasing the news, or at the newsroom, the NPC has broadened its horizon and mission by helping provide for the education, housing, health, and other forms of material and financial assistance to its members despite meager resources. More importantly, the NPC remains the leading voice of the Philippine media in the fight for media rights and in upholding the people's right for a free but responsible press. And as the recognized Philippine media organization in Southeast Asia and our neighboring countries. As the National Press Club enters its 7th decade of existence 3 years from now, it has set itself the goal of reaching out to other local and regional press clubs and organizations in the rest of the country. With everybody's help and with the NPC leading the way, having a Philippine media that is responsible and professional at all times and always striving for excellence is a goal that is indeed realizable and achievable. Mabuhay ang malayang pamamahayag! Mabuhay ang National Press Club!
The year 2020 is truly a bad year for everyone, and the reason, of course, is the onslaught of the COVID-19 pandemic.
To my powers as President under the Constitution and Republic Act 11332, I am placing the entire mainland of Luzon under quarantine.
But despite the tremendous difficulties, the National Press Club responded to the challenges of the time despite its meager resources. Relying on the success of its continuing reform program over the past decade that helped it regain the public's respect and the trust of other sectors of society, and under the leadership of Rolly Lacay Gonzalo and Paul Gutierrez, the NPC was able to provide its members and other members of the press with 3 successive waves of ayudas entrusted to the club by other sectors, individuals, and organizations who are confident that the help they gave would definitely reach those in need. But not only the members of the press benefited from the donations gathered by the NPC, during the worst moments of the COVID-19 pandemic. The NPC also shared this blessing to the poor residents of the Intramuros community in Manila. Also, through the help of benefactors, children of NPC members who are pursuing their college education are assured of financial assistance so they can continue with their education even as the pandemic rages. And yes, with its credibility restored, the NPC was also able to successfully complete the refencing of its perimeter fence at no cost to the club and with no strings attached that would compromise its status as an independent media organization. As the National Press Club is to celebrate its 69th anniversary this October 29, 2021, it has also expanded its media services to the public by creating its own online news and public affairs channel and launched 2 new programs, Usapan sa Balay and Asartalo, which are, aside from its 2 regular media services, the Meet the Press Report to the Nation Media Forum and the Meet the Press on Air at Radio Pilipinas. With a dedicated leadership united under the banner of responsible journalism and service to the people and the country, the National Press Club has proven itself strong and resilient and ready to conquer all the adversities and challenges that would bar its way to greater success. Mabuhay ang responsable at malayang pamamahayag. Mabuhay ang National Press Club.
Ayan. Hi, this is Attorney Larry Gadon. Mga katropa, palagi kayong manunood ng itong Report to the Nation. No? Ito ay weekly media forum ng National Press Club. At lahat talaga ng inyong mapapakinggan dito ay siguradong mga importante at mahalagang impormasyon. Maraming salamat. Ang mga nanunood ng Report to the Nation ay hindi bobo!
Welcome to the Report to the Nation Media Forum of the National Press Club, where you get only the news and information that truly matters. Join us every week for discussion of the issues that affect our nation and our future. This program is a production of the National Press Club of the Philippines in partnership with the Strategic Communication and Information Service, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, Smart Philippines, and MX3.
Alright, good morning sa ating mga kaibigan. At,
Good morning and welcome back.
Yes, welcome Lakay.
Welcome back to the Report to the Nation of the
Yes.
National Press Club
Of course.
Forum.
Oo, siyempre.
Kamusta na?
Tuwing Friday ay ating sinasagawa ang ating weekly media forum ang
Yes,
Report to the Nation ng National Press Club. Welcome Lakay,
Aba,
kumusta?
thank you.
Aba, parang hindi ka tumatanda. Ano man sikreto? May sikreto ka ba dyan?
Ang sikreto ng gugu, yung shampoo ng buhok.
Ganun,
Gugu. Yun lang.
Okay. Hindi kasi parang bumabata ka eh. May nagpapabata ba sa'yo?
May partner siyempre.
Yun ang matindi doon. Okay, pero bago ang lahat ay siyempre pasalamatan natin muna yung ating mga sponsors, Tutik and Tin, na noon hanggang ngayon ay kasama natin, na patuloy na sumusuporta sa National Press Club.
Nakalis na ako.
Unang-una,
Tanda pa rin sila.
yes. Unang-una, ang MX3.
Wow,
Yan.
MX3.
At ang Smart Philippines, ang Department of Environment and Natural Resources,
Yes.
at ang Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation,
Tuloy
yung
pa rin.
PAGCOR. Siyempre,
Oo,
tuloy-tuloy
very
pa rin.
good. Very good.
At
Ang balita
pakita
ko
rin natin.
nawawala yung supply sa MX3.
yun, kailangan paramdam na. Kailangan katukin na. At siyempre, pakita na rin natin ng ating mga miyembro ng National Press Club ang mga pahayagan na naglabasan ngayong
very good.
araw. Unang-una, itong remate, ang dyaryo ng masa. Yan. Itong ating pahayagan. Meron din silang Remate Express.
Bago yan bago.
Malaki. Broadsheet broadsheet size.
Tuwing
Yan.
biyernes lang.
Oo. Tapos, syempre, ang Pinoy Expose ni Yusek Paul Gutierrez. Yan, ng PT Poms. Ano pa ba? Itong pahayagang People's Journal Tonight. Yan. Mga kasapi natin. Yan, pakita mo yung isa.
Yung isa naman ay People's
Police
Files Tonight.
Yan, pakita natin. Yan.
Ang headline ay online, sabong.
Ba?
Namamayag pag-uli.
Yan. Police Files Tonight. Yan.
Namamayag pag-uli ang
kasamang Joey Binancio.
online sabong.
Matindi Nagbabalik na naman ba? At syempre, ang The Manila Times. Yan ang mga front page ng ating mapayagan ngayong araw. At syempre, ngayong araw na ito, magandang ating talakayan. Patungkol sa environment, ang usaping kalikasan. Mukhang ating tatalakayin yung solid waste. Pag-manage ng solid waste sa ating bansa. Tama ba?
Paano natin mapanatili ang kalinisan ng ating mga LUs, ng ating mga bayan-bayan? Paano?
Kaya
yan ay atalakayin ng ating mga bisita this morning.
Correct. At makakasama natin mamaya ay ang ano ba tawag na ito? Si Mr. YOBEL NOVIAN PUTRA, GAIA Asia Pacific Climate and Clean Energy Campaigner. Bukod pa doon, kasama rin natin mamaya si Sir Ray Panaligan, Ecowaste Coalition, at si Sir TEODY NAVEA, Ecowaste Coalition mula yata sa Cebu. Nakabase sa Cebu. Okay. At nakapasok na yata sa ating Zoom live. Pero bago yan, mapapanood ang ating programang NPC Forum ngayong araw sa NPC Facebook page. Tumuto kayo dyan. At mamaya ay mapapanood din sa ating YouTube channel ng National Press Club Uncut. Yan. Okay. Siguro, sino bang paunahin natin pagsalitain?
Unahin natin siguro ang ladies first, Ma'am Sonia.
Si Ma'am Sonia.
Ma'am Sonia ng Mother Earth Foundation.
Yun. Si Ma'am Sonia pala ng Mother Earth Foundation. Good morning po, Ma'am. Magandang umaga. Mabuhay kayo.
Welcome.
Magandang umaga din po. Salamat sa National Press Club. Na-imbita kami dito. Para masabi namin yung aming mga pananaw.
Yes, ma'am.
Kunting intro sa inyong organisasyon, ma'am.
Opo.
Yung Mother Earth Foundation po ay isang NGO dito sa Pilipinas na nag-advocate kami ng kilala kami doon sa aming community-based advocacy of zero waste. We work with local government units para ayusin yung kanilang pamamahala, wastong pamamahala ng mga tinatapon o tinatawag nilang basura. According to our national law, Republic Act 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. Ngayon po ang nabigay sa aking assignment ay yung dangers daw sa pending waste-to-energy bill. Ako po ay isang registered chemist until nag-retire ako from my work. So, tatalakayin ko ngayon kung bakit hindi natin gusto yung waste-to-energy incineration bill that's pending in the Senate. Now, the Section 2 in the Declaration of Policy, it is hereby declared the policy of the state, A, to ensure protection of the public's health and the environment through a systematic and comprehensive ecological solid waste management program. Para sa akin po, motherhood statement ito
Yes.
Sino ang main author niyan? Sinong main author, ma'am?
Marami po This is, I think, Senator Raffy Tulfo is the last. But Senator Lynn Gatchalian at marami pa pong, hindi ko po nakuha lahat yung pangalan, is in the bill. Ngayon, sabi ko, it's a motherhood statement because the waste-to-energy incineration bill will have the opposite effect on public health and the environment for the Filipino people.
Ano ang main opposition niyo, ma'am? Ano ang main objection niyo?
Yung pong bill ay sinasabing mag-ensure ng public health. Ngayon, dito po sa aking hinandang sasabihin ko po, yung waste-to-energy facilities simply transform the garbage problem into a more persistent environmental and health problem. Scientific studies clearly show that treatment processes in waste-to-energy facilities merely transform the waste into other forms of toxic wastes, such as carbon monoxide, dioxins and furans, polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons. Yan po ay mga scientific terms, pero yan po talaga nandyan sa magiging malilikha ng waste-to-energy. Nitrogen oxide, napaka-toxic. Carbon dioxide, cause ng global warming. Methane, which is a powerful greenhouse gas. Volatile organic compounds, aldehydes, particulate matter, and heavy metals such as mercury, lead, and cadmium. Lahat po yan masama sa ating, is bad for our health. These products of waste-to-energy facilities are more harmful toxins than the original waste and gravely worsen air and water pollution. It is severely harmful to human health. Dioxins in particular, or the polychlorinated dibenzoparadioxins and polychlorinated dibenzofurans, are among the most toxic substances known to science.
Yabang inyong posisyon, ma'am, naibigay nyo sa Senado?
Opo, sumulat na po kami sa mga senador.
Oh.
Meron pong sulat ang Ecowaste Coalition, yun po yung umbrella organization.
Yeah.
Even if the bill defines poisonous and toxic fumes as those exceeding internationally accepted standards, our regulations require testing for only 6 to 8 hours, once or twice a year. When scientific studies in the last 2 decades show that brief periodic tests are not sufficient to catch the dioxin emissions, which can be 40 times to as high as 1,000 times above emission limits during transient conditions. Continuous monitoring of dioxins, not once or twice a year as required in other countries, is more protective of health. Kasi mahal po ang testing ng dioxins and furans, and not all laboratories in the world can test dioxins. It's a complicated test. And moreover, once released into the environment, dioxins are persistent pollutants that remain in the environment for generations and accumulate in the food chain. Once in the food chain, dioxins can easily enter the regular diets of humans and cause cancer, male and female reproductive defects, spontaneous abortions, developmental effects on children, diabetes, neurotoxicity, and immunotoxicity. This is true even for waste-to-energy facilities that are ostensibly high-tech and clean. Take, for example, the state-of-the-art waste-to-energy facility in Kaunas, Lithuania, which began operation in November 2020. Studies show that after only half a year of operation, 83% chicken eggs sampled within a 3-kilometer radius already exceeded the European Union limit for dioxins for eggs. Ang dioxins and furans po kasi, it enters your body through it enters the fatty tissues of your body. That's why they're testing chicken eggs. Similarly, studies in Chotikov, Czech Republic, show that 89% of chicken eggs within 5 kilometers already exceeded EU limit for dioxins in eggs.
At the end of the day, what do you want to do with our trash, ma'am? Ano gusto nyo mangyari?
Our trash should be managed properly, implementing RA 9003. We segregate at source at home, then into biodegradable, recyclable, residual waste, and hazardous waste, and then we should put them in, we should have segregated collection because
Tumutulong ba sa inyo ang MMDA, ma'am?
Hindi po ang MNDA kinukolekta lahat ng waste. It's mixed waste. Then they dispose them to the landfills.
Yeah.
Kaya madaling mapuno ang landfill natin. That's why our
Kaya
landfill
nga.
gets filled up very, very in a short period of time because they dispose all the waste that they collect into the landfill. There's no segregation.
Ang nakatutok
Even in the
yata
house,
dyan. Ang
kahit yung
nakatutok
nasa-
po dyan yata, ma'am, LGU, no? Lahat ng mga, LGU.
LGU po ang in charge ng collection, but disposal is by the MMDA
Okay.
in their disposal sites. So, yung households nga po, they complain that even if they segregate, that when the trucks come, they're mixed and they are disposed as mixed waste in the landfills. Bihirang-bihira po yung landfill because the landfill in our law mandates that only residual waste should be disposed of in the landfill.
Opo. Yung segregation, alam ko, ginagawa na rin natin, di ba, Lakay? Kaya lang, siguro kulang lang ng hindi, dapat siguro i-intensify lang yung yung pagsasagawa ng mga segregation ng mga basura, no?
In our project sites po, segregation is really done at home. It is source segregation. Kapag hindi po nag-source segregation,
Opo.
the solid waste program will fail.
Kaya nga.
Because you do not segregate after mixing the waste.
Yes.
You should segregate before it is mixed in the household. And we do a house-to-house campaign. Ang Mother Earth Foundation po, in our program, the Zero Waste Program, we do a house-to-house campaign.
Yes.
Madugo po yan. But that's why we are successful in our projects because we do it. Kasi po, like they always blame the informal settlers for the basura.
Yes.
But can you blame them because they have such narrow alleys and streets that the garbage trucks could not go there?
Kaya
So
nga.
in our project, we use kariton, we use motorcycle or motorbikes to collect the waste from all the sectors of
Saan pong
society.
lugar yan, ma'am? Yung isinasagawa ninyo na yan?
In Malabon and Navotas po dito sa NCR,
Okay.
and we have San Fernando. Yeah, you can visit the place. But masyado na pong binisita yan ng mga international NGOs. And kasi po, natutuwa sila sa ginagawa dyan. We have San Fernando City in Pampanga.
Okay.
It is 35 barangays, pero ang materials... San Fernando City in Pampanga. Zero waste model po yan.
Program.
Aba, okay
It's globally acknowledged as zero waste model city. It has 35 barangays, but the materials recovery facility is more than 100 po. They have materials recovery facilities for schools, for subdivisions within the barangay, and all the barangays have
Siguro
materials.
maganda, mapalawak yan, Kasi dito, alam nyo, ma'am, dito sa Metro Manila, lalong-lalo na sa Maynila, sa Quezon City, hindi nangyayari yung mga segregation na yan, Basta kinokolekta lang, ng truck, di ba?
Sa Quezon City po, meron naman silang segregated collection.
Kakasimula na ba?
Nasimula na po din ni Mayor Belmonte yan.
Okay.
Sana nga po, pero yun nga po, yung malalaking trucks po kasi, or
Opo.
sometimes small trucks ang ginagamit nila. Pero yung po mga alleys na yung sa mga densely populated informal settlers, hindi
Yes.
po nakakapasok yung mga truck na yan. So we use
Kaya nga.
carts, motorcycle, yung mobile carts with sidecars to put the garbage. Segregated po yan from the household.
Yes, pero alam nyo, ako taga Quezon City, sa Frisco lang sa amin, kinokolekta lang ng truck ng basura
saan barangay po
hahakutin
kayo?
ng mga tao, ilalagay sa kanto. Yan, tapos sukunin walang segregation na nangyayari.
Saan pong barangay kayo?
Del Monte po, Del Monte.
Del Monte, malaki yun
Yan.
Opo,
Kaya
ang sapat na po, nakikinig sana. I will
Opo.
tell, sasabihin ko po dun sa environment protection nila.
Yes, ma'am. Kaya nga sa lugar namin, yung ilog doon, kahit yung mga tao na huwag na magtapon ng basura sa ilog mismo at dali na sa kanto para makolekta ng truck ng basura. Kaya lang, walang nangyayaring segregation sa
Kasi,
nakikita natin.
kaya nga po
Ano
yung
mga projects ninyo, ma'am, na medyo successful sa ngayon? Ano mga projects ninyo?
ano po?
Ano mga projects ninyo na medyo successful?
Ayan po, yung Malabon City and Navotas, kasi po adjacent yan sa Manila Bay, kaya ginagawa namin.
Ilang taon na po yung Mother Earth Foundation?
Since 1998 po.
Okay.
Oo. Yung kung saan, naging successful din po kami sa Barangay Fort Bonifacio dyan sa Taguig. Opo, dati nasa kalye lahat ng basura nila. Nung maging zero waste po yung barangay, imbes na 4 na truck sa isang araw, isang truck na lang po hindi pa puno kasi may segregation nga.
Ayun, okay.
Pero yan pong waste to energy incineration bill na yan, it will put back our zero waste program back to square one.
Kaya,
Kasi kokolektahin lang po nila lahat ng basura at susunugin nila. So, sabi nga nila doon, ang incineration, it needs a feedstock of yung may high calorific value. But high calorific value waste are paper and plastic. Ibig sabihin, susunugin niya yan. But these paper and plastic are recyclable. So, sayang naman. Sa kayang pong waste into energy incineration bill, they have a guaranteed volume.
yes.
Mamaya magsasalita si Ray from Cebu.
Opo.
Doon po kasi meron ng isang naaprubahan na waste to energy facility. Doon po, naka-lock in sila for 40 years.
Okay.
Tapos magbabayad ka ng tipping fee, ng ganyan. Pag hindi mo natupad yung guaranteed volume niya, you still pay the same
Opo.
amount.
All
And
right.
then, puro penalties po yan.
Okay. Salamat po sa inyo, Ma'am Sonia, no?
Ma'am Sonia.
Ma'am Sonia. Okay, dumako naman tayo kay Sir Ray Panaligan, nandiyan na ba? Ng Ecowaste Coalition.
Kung ano yung kanyang report. Ha?
Sir Ray Panaligan, nakapasok ba?
Wala pa yata.
Wala pa. Or si Sir TEODY NAVEA? Nandiyan na ba si Sir
Si
TEODY?
Jody yung mas maliit. Ha? Jody.
Good
raise your
morning,
hand.
Sir TEODY.
Oh, hindi ito mong napapakinggan eh. Jody. Please raise your hand.
Sir TEODY NAVEA from Ecowaste Coalition Cebu.
Oh. Ano pwede nyo may report from Cebu?
Yung
yata.
audio yata natin, may problem ba?
Yung
Pero nakapasok ba, Sir TEODY?
Wala pa po yata
Wala
sila.
pa. How
I
about
think
Sir YOBEL NOVIAN?
YOBEL po, pwede, YOBEL.
Sir
Yun dito.
YOBEL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi. Thanks
Hi,
for
sir.
having me. I'm Yobel. I'm from Indonesia. So I'm very
welcome,
pleased to
sir.
be part of the session. And I'm representing GAIA, Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives. So it's really clear we want alternatives to incineration or waste burning. And GAIA is a global organization. We are globally with 1,000 organizations. In Asia Pacific, we are 200 organizations. And all we have here is SONIA from Manila Foundation and also AFRAH from Cebu, Maldives. And also later we have TEODY from Ecowaste Coalition, also member of GAIA. So we all here share similar, same standing that we are against waste burning, we are against incineration. We want zero waste as our solution. So that's my information for now.
You're saying you are for incineration?
And against.
Against.
You're opposing the
Opposing,
use
yes.
of incinerators. Yeah, okay. Tell us why, sir. What is the
Yeah, so,
effects?
like Tita Sonia is having a Chinese background, I'm having engineering, environmental engineering background. So I know what's the problem and what's the difficulty in designing incinerator. And then I have a presentation, give you some picture of why it's dangerous. And as a context, I'm a younger generation. And then I feel like incineration is burning my future, and I don't want it to be part of my future. So there is a reason for that. So if you can see here my screen, I'll start. Is it showing? Is it showing, sir? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, so first, maybe people are not familiar with what's waste to energy, but make it clear, waste to energy stands for many different terms of waste burning. That includes converting plastic to fuel then burn it, or some in Europe they call it energy from waste. Some call it waste gasifier or thermal advanced thermal treatment pyrolysis, but these all are the same. At the end, they will burn your waste one way or the other. And what's problematic about it? Because it's perpetuating our linear economy, which we know science has told us that we should move away from this kind of economy. Because at each stage of the process, we know like plastic bottle, in the extraction, in the production, consumption, it releases waste, toxic chemicals, energy, and carbon emission. And the issue with that is we know that incinerator perpetuates this cycle because we need to go back to square one when you burn stuff. And when we talk about zero waste, we're not only talking about waste management, we see waste as resources. So we want to see how we manage our waste. So all the resources that we have, the limited resources and precious one, will be reserved for future, for also for my generation. And now the current method is landfilling, of course, and then the landfill also problematic because it goes back to square one, and particularly when it is mixed waste. And what we want is more on, for example, recycling, because once you recycle and don't produce it, you eliminate the need for extraction. But if the better is to reuse stuff, because we eliminate two things from the production chain and also the extraction chain. And the best is to reduce, and that's why I agree with SONIA, which is this ban on single-use plastic. It's definitely reduce all the harm from all the supply chain. And incineration, aside from it perpetuating the extraction, it's also releasing toxic chemicals, toxic air residues in the form of ash, and also a lot of carbon dioxide. And that's, of course, very concerning for my generation because we have very limited carbon budget to make sure we are living in a safe and comfortable Earth. And as an additional context, we know in Philippines, in my country, Indonesia, we are being labeled as a home for problems, as a plastic problem. But what we see is actually there's just too much plastic produced in the first place. And if incinerator is installed, we are not leading towards the youth system with less consumption and less production that's detrimental to our environment and our health. So incineration needs plastic to burn, and it's locked the project for 20 years at least to keep burning plastic. So that's one of the problems we see. And maybe a lot of people doesn't realize that when they refer to Europe, for example, as the best solution or best preference for waste to energy, they're actually recently in 2019, 2020, they say incineration is no longer sustainable. It's being eliminated, excluded for their sustainable financing taxonomy because it harms the circular economy, also harms the climate. And just this month, the ASEAN taxonomy, where we are now, is saying that at least incineration conflict with three major environmental objectives, which is climate change mitigation, protection for health, environment, and biodiversity, and also resource resiliency, because again, it burnt waste and it turned it into an ash which is toxic and we cannot really use it as it initially is. And what we really want is to stop incineration. The current paradigm is incineration is better than landfill, but that's not really the reality. Incineration is unacceptable to the climate, to the health, and it also doesn't eliminate landfill because you need somewhere to store the ash from the incinerator. So I want to show you quickly why wasted energy is a waste of energy. So from a technical perspective, we know the input is waste. So when you burn waste, you get two things, electricity and heat. But then we don't use the heat here. We only use the electricity. But even for the electricity, it's very low. The efficiency is very low. It's only 20 to 25%. Well, if you compare it with other sources of energy, for example, coal, I'll show it later, or gas that we are not porting as well, it's lower than that. Then it's not possible to increase the electrical efficiency if you're burning plastic. When you burn plastic, the machines get corroded because of the chloride and every chemicals that's in it. A recent report early this year in Europe showing that incinerators they have lower efficiency than even coal, where we are phasing it out. So it doesn't make sense if we are justifying waste to energy to generate energy. It's a waste of energy. And it's also the most expensive method, even compared to landfill. And now governments are already struggling to pay landfills. And now we want to pay the incinerator, which is way more expensive using taxpayers' money. And this is also very concerning. And more, when you see the electricity generation, like how much power do you generate per month, per amount of money you put in the incinerator, it's actually more expensive than solar or even gas. And we see it's comparable to coal and even more than coal actually when you see it, how much energy generated per amount of money we invest for incinerator. So the next issue is job generation. We want to see our money to feed the livelihood of people, but then what we see is incineration only creates the least amount of jobs compared to all other options like composting, repair, recycle, and we see that zero waste is a way to improve livelihood, create green jobs. But incineration only creates the least job, but also it's not a green job. Some stories, this is from 3 to 5 years, and this is not all stories. I just picked 4 at least. There is 3 incinerator in Europe. It's found that dioxin, the chemical that SONIA mentioned, found in the soil, eggs, and vegetation around incinerator. Also in China, because in Philippines, I'm aware that Chinese companies are selling incinerators here. It's also found in an incinerator plant near in China that a lot of the eggs, chicken eggs, have dioxin from it. And in Switzerland, this is a lesson learned because they just found out that their soil are heavily contaminated by dioxins after operating for 10 to 15 years. And in Delhi, it's also using Chinese technology. The waste to energy in 3 cities, one is in Delhi, actually emits more than what is being regulated. And that's not only about the emission, because the emission seems to be clear, but then there's a lot of chemicals. But there's also another problem that regulator rarely discuss, just the ash. Because there is 2 kinds of ash, the bottom ash and also the fly ash that you see from the smoke. And these are not regulated. Some attempt to make this ash into construction material. And if I live in a house using a brick, using this ash, I don't want to live in it. It's full of toxic chemical, plastic, and also heavy metals. And some stories from China, from China, it's because one worker in China found that there's implication to the health of his son, who's living nearby the incinerator, because and when they asked for transparency for data, the emission data, there is no transparency from the government. And this is also an issue because, as Tita Sonia said, the monitoring for incinerator is only mandated, not continuously, only 3 times for the first year and only once every 1 year. And that in Indonesia, it's even worse, only once every 5 years. And this is a pattern that we've seen that allow incinerators to operate through externalized costs. And when we compare to coal power plant, this is how when we see the emissions per energy generated, it's more intensive than coal. So it doesn't make sense in countries where we're trying so hard to get out of coal investment. And we see that investment in incineration it's burning the planet. And in US, where they started earlier than us in incinerator, they actually have stopped 300 more incinerator from 85 to 95. This is a report done by GAIA, and we've seen more and more incinerator are being closed. One of it is the Teroid incinerator. Recently, they are stopped because of issues of odor and also electricity generation that's very carbon intensive. And in fact, the government posed penalty for the company because they are violating environmental regulation for protecting the people. And this is from EU, from Europe, Denmark, which is very famous for its incinerator. They're actually closing their incinerator because they are aware that it will not meet their climate target. So they need to close 7 incinerator. And this is a statement by their climate minister. So that's it for now. I hope the presentation helped. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir YOBEL. At nakita natin, Lakay, na may ilang mga bansa pa rin na gumagamit ng incinerators, pero yung iba sa kanila, nagbabawas na rin, ng paggamit.
Which of these is
binabawasan na rin.
acceptable? Which of these incinerators is now acceptable to you as a group?
Yes.
It's not acceptable, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wala hong acceptable.
Wala.
Oh, dahil nga sa negatibong epekto ng
Okay.
mga incinerators, yung
Yeah, sa
pagsusunog
public
ng
health.
mga basura.
Unang-una
Biruin
po
mo,
sa public health.
yung pollution na naidudulot, nakaka-asthma pa pala yan, ano? At iba pang mga
Cancer.
sakit.
Cancer po.
Cancer,
Yeah.
Bukod pa doon, cancer din.
Yeah.
Okay. At nandyan na rin ba yung ibang mga speakers natin? Si Sir Ray?
Yung
Si
galing
Sir
sa
Ray
Cebu,
Panaligan, nandyan na ba?
Cebu.
Si Sir Ray Panaligan, Ecowaste Coalition or TEODY
sabi
NAVEA.
po, excuse me po, sabi po, ako daw po ang pumalit kay Ray.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hindi po yata kasi nasa Cebu po sila. Pero yun
okay.
lang, pwede ko pong
Sige po.
yung nangyari sa Cebu.
Yes, ma'am.
Yung pong sa Cebu City, yung Cebu City government nag-enter into a joint venture agreement with a Chinese-backed incinerator company named New Energy Sky Philippines last October 2022. Yun nga po, the city will be locked in for 40 years. Yun ang kontrata
What
nila.
happened?
Ganon.
40?
40 years po
Tagal,
sa kontrata na pinirmahan na nila, pumayag sila na nakalock in sila for 40 years na dadalhin nila sa incinerator yung kanilang basura. So, hindi po yata napag-aralan ng husay ng syudad kung ano yung mga bad effects ng incinerator. At saka yung pong cost nila ngayon sa kanilang basura ay twice ho nung dati nilang ginagastos. So, doble. Tapos, kahit po kasi sabihin ng mga supplier na, build, operate, transfer kami, wala kayong gagastusin sa building. Pero saan po sila kikita? Sa tipping fee.
Kaya
Siyempre, kayong dadalhin ninyong basura araw-araw doon. Hindi naman po pwedeng hindi sila kikita, no? So, their tipping fee, mas mataas po yung kaysa tipping fee na binabayad ngayon.
So, ma'am, ano pong magiging next move ninyo, ng inyo pong grupo, patungkol nga dyan sa nangyayari sa Cebu?
Ngayon po, kaya nga po nandun si Ray at saka si Juvie ng Ecowaste kasi nga po, siguro ina-explain nila una sa mga tao tapos sa mga opisyales yung masamang effect ng incinerator. Kaso may kontrata na nga po. Yun ang hindi ko alam kung paano po nila yun mariresolbar. Kami po dito naman sa nangyayari dito, like nung isang araw po, nagkaroon ng mobilization against the Asian Development Bank kasi po sila ay kilala na nagsusupport, nagfa-fund ng incineration projects. So,
Meron po ba kayong mga legal move or pwede nyo rin ba dahilin ito sa korte para mahadlangan yung kontrata na yan?
Wala pa po sa ngayon, pero hindi pa po kami nakakapag ng legal case
Yeah.
against that.
So, wala pa.
Wala pa ho. Ang isa lang na may case, hindi naman
The
against
best alternative. Wala pa alternatibo? That you are envisioning, Ma'am Sonia?
Yung alternative nga po, hindi nga po alternative is the only solution to solid waste is the zero waste approach. Yun nga po yung ginagawa namin. Wala po itong emission kasi nga po 50 to 75% ng cost ng waste to energy facility ay tungkol sa control, sa emission control devices. Ay ba't ka gagawa ng toxic emissions tapos gagastos ka na napakalaki para i-control ito?
Kaya nga.
Mga filters po na yan, na bumibigay din naman because it's mechanical. And when you clean those filters, yung mga toxic waste na nandun, pupunta lang sa wastewater.
Sinubukan nyo na rin po ba, Ma'am Sonia, na may pagdialogo sa mga lokal na opisyalis sa Cebu?
Ay, opo. Panay po ang punta ng Ecowaste Coalition doon. Meron ho silang talagang representative sa Cebu.
Ano
Pero
pong
nga po,
update?
yung po nga nakakalungkot, nalaman na lang na nag-sign na sila ng kontrata dun sa sa Chinese incineration supplier. And New Energy Sky Philippines.
Okay.
Yung po kasing zero waste program, wala pong emission yon. Ang composting, walang toxic emission. Ngayon, kung merong isang waste to energy na non-burn na ina-approve namin, yung biogas. Yung biogas po, pag nilagay mo yung organic waste doon, kasi po pag ang organic waste ay walang air o anaerobic ang tawag nila, nagkikreate po ito ng methane. So yan po ang iniiwasan natin sa landfill ngayon kasi kung ilalagay mo yung organic waste mo sa landfill, siguradong magkakaroon po ng methane yan dahil pagka walang hangin, yung pong methane forming bacteria, form po yun. So ang methane po is 80 times more powerful than carbon dioxide in producing greenhouse gas. So isa din po yun ang ating isinusulong, lahat ng organic waste huwag dadalahin sa landfill. Dapat po yun ay gawing animal feeds or composting, pampataba
Ayun,
ng
pataba. Tama.
Opo. Tapos lahat po ng recyclables ay madala sa mga factories para i-recycle nila. Yun lang pong karampot na matitirang residual waste, yun lang po ang dapat ilalagay sa landfill. Wala pong methane production yun dahil wala naman pong food waste.
Okay. Para may isagawa yan, ma'am, meron bang makina or meron bang kailangan na technology na bilhin sa ibang bansa?
Hindi naman po. Yung kung gagawin yung biogas, yun po, kailangan tayong magkaroon ng infrastructure. Pero yung pong zero waste na simple, like ginagawa ng Malabon na bota, bahay-bahay, nagbubukod, tapos kinocompose sa isang lugar yung nabubulok, tapos binibigay sa junk shop, binibenta, may kita pa sila for the recyclable. Residual waste lang po ang natitira na kinukuha ng syudad. So yung syudad, malaking savings, kasi yung truck nila hindi pupunta sa bahay-bahay para mangolekta, pupunta lang doon sa materials recovery facility para kuhanin yung residual waste at yun lang po ang dadalhin nila sa sanitary landfill.
Ayun. Maganda nga, no? At least, ano? Pero sa biogas, yun ang kailangan, may technology na malinaw, which is medyo expensive po ba?
Hindi ho. Napakalaking mura niya kaysa sa waste to energy. In fact,
talaga?
sa Malabon, mayroong isang barangay doon, yung barangay Dampalit, meron silang maliit na biogas. So makikita po ninyo doon, yung methane na napuproduce, yun ang energy na ginagamit nila sa pagluluto ng kanilang tanghalian at hapunan ng mga waste workers.
Okay.
So, nagagamit po yun. At saka wala pong lumalabas na methane doon. It's completely, na-recover po. Ang landfill po, hindi ka makaka-recover ng lahat ng methane because it's a gas.
Ayun, yun naman pala, no? Maganda
Meron
kung
po.
may,
In the meantime,
palakas.
we can start from there, ha? Yung karanasan ng Balbon at saka Nabotas. Ma'am?
Opo, tuloy-tuloy po ang project doon. Tapos yung Pampanga po, kahit wala na ang Mother Earth doon, tinutuloy po nila kasi magaling yung mga...
In the meantime, pwedeng gayahin, ha?
Opo.
Gayahin,
Tapos yung buong Siquijor
Bagong
Island, yung buong Siquijor Island po, ay magiging zero waste island po. 6 municipalities yun. Siguro po mga 60% na doon ay zero waste na. So
talaga?
lahat, binibisita po nila yon ang lahat ng mga...
Pati mga swang.
Sa Siquijor yan, ha?
Ngayon po may bisita silang tatlong taga-Tanzania. Yung isa mayor ng Zanzibar at may dalawang delegate siyang kasama kasi gusto nilang gawin yung Zanzibar, which is an island in Tanzania, na katulad ng Siquijor.
Okay.
Opo.
Magandang balita yan, ha? Siguro pala, medyo
Meron
magandang...
po ding project ang GAIA ng Zero Waste Academy, kasama po ang Mother Earth. Ngayon po may Global Zero Waste Academy ginagawa. Global po yun. 41 participants sa 17 countries. So ang nagpa-participate po, may taga-Ecuador, Brazil, Chile, Tanzania, South Africa, Senegal, Togo, Ghana, Nigeria, Indonesia, India, Nepal, Mexico, Uganda, Malaysia, and Vietnam, and Philippines.
Marami pala.
Yan po ay tinuturuan, naging hybrid po gawa ng pandemic. So nagkakaroon sila ng 6 na linggong online training. Isang linggo parang 1 oras po. Tapos meron silang in person na 1 linggo na actual, magkakaroon po ng waste collection and brand audit. Yun po ang nauna po dyan sa brand audit ay Mother Earth. Kasi po sa trabaho namin, sa mga local government units, talaga pong kinokolekta lahat ng waste. So nakita noon, sabi nga po nung head ng GAIA Asia Pacific na si Froilan, sabi niya, nandyan na yung mga basura, bakit waste assessment lang ang gagawin? Mag-brand audit tayo para makita natin sino ba talaga yung mga gumagawa ng plastic packaging na yan na nakakapagpala sa atin. So lumalbas po doon, 10 dito sa Pilipinas, nangunguna doon ay, babanggitin ko na, Nestle, Unilever, Procter & Gamble, ganyan po, Copico, yung NutriAsia. So sila po yung talagang lumilikha ng plastic pollution, hindi po tayo. Kasi wala pong choice, yung mga tao, pagpunta nila sa sari-sari store, lahat yun nakasashay. 63 million sachets a day po pala ang ginagamit ng Pilipinas. Halos lahat pumupunta sa dagat. So pag may zero waste program po, mapipigilan yung pagpunta na yan ng mga plastic pollution dahil kinukolekta po lahat sa bahay-bahay yan. Tapos pupunta yan sa residual waste. So dapat po yung manufacturers and conglomerates na yan, mag-research sila, gumawa sila ng alternative packaging na lalong-lalo na dapat pong nabubulok o nare-recycle. Kasi po yan, hindi po nabubulok yan at hindi din nare-recycle. So hindi po binibili ng junk shop yan dahil wala pong value.
Ayun. Okay, Ma'am Sonia, mabalik lang ako sa binabanggit mo kanina sa Cebu. Yung kontrata nila na mukhang gagamit nga sila ng incinerators, ano? Tama po ba?
Opo.
Kailan po ba ang target nilang pasimulan itong mga incinerators nila?
Nag-enter na sila ng kontrata noong October 2022. Pero yan po, matagal din gawin yung waste to energy facility. Taon din po ang bibilangin unless maliit lang siya. Pero kung Cebu City, siguro medyo malaki yun. Siguro ang common po 3 to 5 years. Ngayon kung magsi-zero waste sila, sa loob ng 1 taon, napakalaki na po nang nagawa. Like ang San Fernando, sa loob lang ng 6 na buwan, tumaas na yung waste diversion rate nila from 12 to 50%.
Ganun na.
Opo.
Para mapansin kayo, yung grupo ninyo, meron pa kayo plano na magsama-sama, magkilos protesta doon sa lugar?
Ginagawa na po, yung Ecowaste Coalition pa kasi, yun yung umbrella organization. Member po kami lahat noon, Mother Earth, GAIA, Healthcare Without Harm, Greenpeace. So nagkaroon na po ng mobilization doon siguro, nasa mayor po kasi yan.
Dapat po Mayor Rama ba?
Siguro po, Cebu City. City government of Cebu.
Rama, no? Ng Cebu City.
Nakapirma na daw sila ng contract.
Okay. Siguro ang pinaka-ano dyan, daanin na sa legal. Sa kaso, para mahadlangan siguro.
Opo.
And I'm sure nag-uusap-usap naman kayo dyan.
Opo.
Okay. At nandiyan na yata, si Sir TEODY nakabase yata sa Cebu. Sir TEODY NAVEA ng Ecowaste Coalition Cebu. Sir, good morning. Wala pa.
Ecowaste Coalition is not here, so I think I will go next.
Okay, our next speaker will be Mr. What's his name?
AFRAH.
AFRAH. Okay. Sir AFRAH. Sir, you're from what country, sir?
I'm from the Maldives. I represent
Maldives.
Zero Waste Maldives.
Right. Okay.
I'm just gonna share my screen and start a small presentation that I have on
You have a
the
presentation
case.
also.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
So thank you so much for having me this morning on this program. I'm here to present why waste to energy is not for the Maldives, sort of like a case study about the Maldives and the waste management that is happening in the Maldives. Zero Waste Maldives is an organization that is working to promote circular economy and waste reduction for the Maldives because of the whole climate change issue that is plaguing the world at the moment. We are also part of GAIA, and we have been working with the Alliance for almost 4 years now. And we've been working very closely in trying to fight the promotion of incineration in the Maldives as a waste management solution. So jumping right into it, when you hear about the Maldives, usually these are the sort of scenes that you see. Crystal clear waters, beautiful sunsets, and pristine sandy beaches. But these are really the images that you see from the resorts. But the reality is quite different when it comes to, especially when it comes to waste management.
Is that so?
So these are some of the images that we see in some of the areas where a lot of people live and a lot of waste is being generated. So on the top left, you see a drainage being cleared. So these are some of the single-use plastics that has accumulated in the water drainage sort of system that has been built into the ground. And we see a lot of single-use plastic bottles as well as packaging waste that ends up in the ocean as well as accumulate on land as well. Here we see some of the waste management practices that is being practiced in the Maldives. As you know, Maldives is comprised of a lot of islands. We've got 1,192 islands. And on those islands where there are cities, these are the sort of images that you would see in terms of waste management. You've got trucks, lorries that actually transport a lot of the waste, as well as waste trucks that do household level collection. And then we've got heavy vehicles that sort of aggregate the waste onto vessels that are then transported into regional waste management centers or facilities that are designed to do waste management. So this is the main island that does waste management in the Maldives. It's called Tilafushi. In the bottom right, you see the island, actually, an aerial view. So the smoke that is coming out from that plume is like open burning of waste that is happening, because that landfill has been burning for quite a few years. Now it has been controlled to some extent, and they are trying to rehabilitate and then try and keep that waste pile from burning. So these are sort of the waste management images, and as you can imagine, there is a lot of waste that is generated. In the Maldives, there is a statistic that says in a person that is living in a city, per head, 1.7 kilograms of waste is generated. So we are sort of a very wasteful country in comparison to other countries in the region as well, because of the waste generation per capita. And also we are very highly tourism-based economy. So per tourist, there is per bed night that a tourist spends in the Maldives, 3.5 kilograms of waste is generated as well. So these are that was some of the waste management that was mainly in the cities, but in the islands as well, we've got landfills, open burning, and poor waste management infrastructure. So there are some improvements coming about, but we are seeing that these practices are still prevalent in a lot of the islands still. We've got 189 islands where people are living in. So these populations could range from maybe 90 in some islands to 1,000 or 10,000 in some islands as well. So it's a diverse mix of populations as well as waste management practices as well. So looking at what's happening in the Maldives, we've got a lot of funding for waste management that is coming through international donor funders like the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, as well as Abu Dhabi Development Fund as well. So the biggest project that is happening in the Maldives is in the central region of Kaf, Alif Dal, Alif and Wow. This region is, we call it Zone 3. This is where the main capital is as well. And the ADB project is funding a project that is worth $304 million to build a waste-to-energy facility in the Maldives. So this is going to aggregate a lot of the waste from the islands into a central facility to burn. And that is why we oppose this project as well, because this project is a replication of a World Bank funded project that had occurred a few years ago. And to this date, that facility is still not operational. So we know that waste to energy does not work for countries like ourselves, and it has failed in one instance at a smaller scale. So there is no reason to actually scale it up to this level where we are exposing ourselves to dioxins, furans, and other pollutants that is going into both our land, air, as well as our seas. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense for us at all. But ADB has been pushing with this funding, and the government is happy to accept money that is coming through to these kind of development projects. In the Maldives specifically, there are a lot of policies in place. You might have heard that we announced in 2019 that we are going to phase out single-use plastics by 2023. But the project to actually burn waste actually conflicts with these policies, because plastic has a very high calorific value, and in the Maldives and other Southeast Asian countries, the waste calorific value is very low. So you need to actually add a lot of fuel to make it viable to be burnt for energy. So with the single-use plastic phase-out plan and waste to energy going hand in hand, it actually conflicts, and it actually makes it so that the effectiveness of the single-use plastic phase-out will not be that good. We also announced that we would try and be net zero by 2030 as well, which is also in conflict with the waste to energy plans, as YOBEL has highlighted in his presentation very well. Waste to energy or incineration is very carbon intensive, and that really conflicts with our aspirations to be a net zero country by 2030. We've also got waste to wealth as a policy, waste as a resource as a policy, as well as we are pushing for circular economy in the Maldives. But all these are policies that are being hindered by these waste to energy facility, because all the waste or the resources that can be recycled or can be turned into valuable resources are being diverted to be burnt. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense for us to promote waste to energy or push waste to energy in the Maldives. So we are really being trapped in this linear economy model because of ADB and their funding into waste to energy in the Maldives. Recently, the government of Maldives also passed a Waste Management Act. It was ratified on the 18th of December in 2022. So this was the first time a waste management law came into place. We actually had a look through the whole law, and then we realized that there are no provisions actually to regulate incineration in the Maldives. So we try and lobby the Parliamentary Committee on Environment and Climate Change to try and get them to include provisions to regulate incineration in the Maldives, because we know that the project is going to come, but then there are no regulations to say what are the emission levels, what are you going to do with the hazardous waste that's being produced by the bottom ash and the fly ash. So these kind of huge concerns we have raised at the parliamentary level. So we were fortunate enough to be invited, and these pictures actually show the Ministry, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Utility Regulatory Authority, as well as the waste management operator in the country. So we were at the same table, and then we lobbied against some of the policies that the government was pushing for. But the parliament was receptive, but they did not include any provisions for regulations in the law when it passed. However, we found that they did include a last-minute amendment where they're allowing waste to be imported into the Maldives, and the justification is that they are producing, they're going to be generating waste. So they see waste as a resource, so they opened up the avenue to actually import waste into the country. So we've lobbied the government to actually roll this back, and the ministry and the president's office saw the pressure that we put on them through our coalition partners as well as Human Rights Watch and others, and then now they have submitted an amendment to close that loophole that they created. But because of the elections coming up. This doesn't seem like it will go through, but we are still trying to keep that pressure going so that at least even if within the next sitting or the next sessions of Parliament, it will come through as one of the key electoral issues moving forward. So that really covers some of the things that we wanted to highlight in terms of what is happening in the Maldives and the waste management situation that is going on, and also some of the work that we are doing in terms of trying to ensure that no harm comes from waste to energy being promoted in the Maldives.
So
Thank you so much for your time.
How many incinerators do you have in Maldives?
Currently, there is one facility, but it is not fully operational. There is one also being built in the south. It is due to come online in July, but I think it will still get delayed. The one that is ADB is developing in the central region, it will, I think by 2024 or 2025, that facility is supposed to be operational.
Oh, we're very surprised that you're about your presentation on the situation of Maldives, yung sa ano, no? Management, waste management nila, no? Taliwas sa ipinapakita ng tourism sa Maldives. Meron din palang problema sa basura, no? Matindi, no? Okay. Ano sa tingin mo? Parang ano rin, ano yung sa issue ng Boracay dito, no? Pero ang ating pamahalaan naman ay gumagawa rin naman ng paraan para ma-address yung mga ganyang problema. Kahit nasa Palawan, di ba? At nakita naman natin nung panahon ni Digong, di ba? Na ginagawa ng paraan yan. Okay, at next speaker, available na ba? Sister Ray Panaligan ba? Sir TEODY NAVEA? Sir TEODY? Nandiyan na ba sa ating linya? Sir TEODY NAVEA from Ecowaste, Coalition Cebu, I think. Sir TEODY?
Ecowaste Coalition, Cebu.
Yes.
Kumusta ang Cebu? Maraming basura na lechon.
Sir TEODY, yung ano yata, hindi pa naka, no?
Or puso.
Hindi pa ba available?
Pwede mo
Okay,
magdagdag.
anyway, si Ma'am Sonia na muna, no?
Pwede magdagdag.
Yes, Ma'am Sonia, go ahead po.
Dito nakalagay, the European Investment Bank has stopped funding incineration in order to align with EU agenda on circular economy. So sana po yung Asian Development Bank dito sa Pilipinas will follow the European Investment Bank. Huwag na silang mag-fund ng incineration
Dito sa Pilipinas,
project.
Ma'am Sonia, dito sa Pilipinas, ilan ang incinerator?
Wala pa ho talagang yung sinatawag na waste to energy facility or kasi may ban nga ho tayo sa Clean Air Act. Gusto nga pag napasa yung waste to energy incineration bill na yan, magsusulputan na yan. There is a proposal in Quezon City, sa Puerto Princesa, Davao, yan nga sa Cebu. Madami
So yan po yung mariinin yung tinututulan, yung makapasok at magamit yung incinerators dito sa ating bansa.
Opo.
Yung bill na yan, yung binabanggit nyo kanina, nasan level na po ba yan? Committee level or first reading?
I think
Dapat yung mga politiko,
public hearing na
dapat yung mga politiko mga sunugin sa incinerator. Ha?
Yung mga magtutulak niyan.
Malaki po ang pera sa incineration sa waste to energy facilities. Napakamahal po niyan. Para mag-take ka ng 3,000 tons of waste a day, ang ang halaga niya ay $600 million.
Kaya nga susunugin lang yon, sisirain ng kalikasan ng ating hangin.
At
Yun lang
kalusugan.
ang purpose nun. Sa ibang bansa, 'di ba, ginagawang yan 'di ba? Gas, 'di ba? Katulad sa Japan yata 'di ba?
Ay sinasabi din po ng Japan, yung energy na kukuha diyan sa waste to energy, maliit lang po 'yan. Yun din po ang sabi ng Europe. Kaya hindi talaga sustainable Kaya nga po ang tawag namin waste of energy.
Ayun, yun ang matindi.
Ay, nandito na po yata si TEODY.
Nandiyan na yata. Masok na ba yata si Sir TEODY NAVEA ng Ecowaste?
Yes, Sonia.
Cebu. Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Kumusta po ang situation dyan sa Cebu? Yung ating
Yes,
mga kampanya kontra sa paggamit ng incinerators.
Yes, gusto ko lang i-point out yung recent development sa Cebu kung saan nagkaroon ng joint venture agreement between the city government and the New Sky para itayo ang WTE facility. Well, very unusual kasi alam naman natin yung existing ban ng incineration according to the laws na ngayon hindi dapat nila i-violate, and in fact tatlong matitingkad na mga batas na sa ngayon ay siyang binabiolate ng ating gobyerno. The Renewable Energy Act, RA 9513, ang Clean Air Act, ang Republic Act 8749, and of course, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, Republic Act 9003. On that basis, kino-question namin yung GBA na inasok ng city government at ng New Sky Company. One, ang sinasabi nga namin, yung question ng definition ng thermal energy as embodied sa Republic Act 9513, yung sa Renewable Act na hindi ito tumutugma doon sa sinasaad ng batas na ito.
Yes.
Questionably na yan. And second, of course, yung sa Ecological Solid Waste Management Act na mayroon tayong tinatawag na hierarchy of waste kung saan hindi tumutugma din sa ginawang pagpasok ng kontratang ito. Kung mayroon man sa hierarchy of waste, yun yung pang-apat, yung paano nila efficiently na i-manage yung residual waste. And of course, yung punto ng paano na yung pag-protect ng city government kaugnay doon sa umunti ang mga basura. Kasi sa ngayon kasi ang Cebu City may mga existing ordinance siya na ginagawa na para umunti yung mga basura. Paano niya gagawin ito? Kasi ultimately ang gusto niya mangyari dapat is to preserve the environment at to protect the people. So merong mga existing single-use plastic policy and ito ma-undermine po ito as a major concern, ma-undermine po ito. Tapos ito pong GBA na ito, this is substantially insufficient and ambiguous. Kaya nga nililinaw doon sa Clean Air Act na kung sakasakaling magkakaroon ng paggamit ng incineration, this will actually affect the health of the people. So may eksaktong health impacts. Itong lahat ng itong apat na major concern namin is the one we are using para mag-complain kami sa ginagawa ng pagbubuo ng kontratang yan, yung GBA na yan, joint venture agreement na yan. So, in the case of our group, nakasama namin ang GAIA, ang Ecowaste, talagang we will pursue the case and that we will go on with our advocacy na it's totally unacceptable ang pag-pursue ng GBA na to, and we will try our best to frustrate whatever they are going right now. Yeah. But at this time, they're now looking for a place where they can actually construct the waste-to-energy facility. We already have gone through Barangay Guba, which is the one they pointed out that they will construct. And of course, all these things are happening right now in Cebu. And I hope the people, not only our group, but the public should make a clear stand on this.
Okay, Sir TEODY, kanina nga napapag-usapan nga namin yan dyan, yung situation sa Cebu, patungkol nga sa kontrata na pinasok between ng yung private company at saka yung LGU dyan sa Cebu. Inakyat nyo na rin ito sa korte? Tama ba?
We have a copy of this letter complaint and I hope how do we go about pursuing this? We'll have to see to it to consult again with our lawyers if this we should seek seeking the court for this.
Yun naman pala, no? Dinadaan na pala sila dinadaan nila ito sa sa legal na pamamaraan para hadlangan yung incinerators, paggamit ng incinerators diyan sa Cebu. Talagang malaking epekto ito sa ating kalusugan, lalong-lalo na diyan sa mga residente ng Cebu, no, Lakay.
Speaker?
Okay. Meron pa po kayong karagdagan diyan, Sir Jody?
Well, just to inform the media about this is we have to be vigilant about this because this is unacceptable. This is totally really a bad precedent for all of us because right now the government is promoting in any form and whatever form all kinds of dirty energies, dirty technologies, false solutions.
Ayun. Okay, baka meron tayong mga katanungan dyan mula sa ating mga kapatid sa media. Meron bang may katanungan ba? Okay, wala yata may...
So, ano ba lang ni na Joby?
Hi, sir.
Ayun yata,
Hi, sir.
from GMA Asia Pacific ba?
GAIA Asia Pacific, sir.
Yes, sir, go ahead po.
Comms po kami na communications team ng GAIA Asia Pacific.
Okay.
And ulitin lang po namin, GAIA Asia Pacific, GAIA is an alliance of 1,000 organizations and individuals. And we're the Asia Pacific office, and our projects deal with zero waste modeling, waste burning, and plastics. So today, we're excited po to share with you the launch of our campaign page on waste burning, which is No Trash Talk. It has all the resources tungkol po dito sa waste burning. Nandito po yung mga information before na na-discuss. So if there are if you need to know more info sa mga nangyayari, not only in the Maldives but in the Philippines, the Vietnam, nandito po lahat yung mga waste incineration facilities that are being funded by IFIs. And nandito po yung ginawa namin this week, yung Day of Action against Incineration. Dito po nag-participate ang mga communities and individuals at pinahayag nila ang kanilang pagtutol sa pagtatayo ng mga waste incineration sa kanilang communities. Ginawa po ito ng Monday sa may headquarters ng ATB, ang dami pong sumama. So nakaka-inspire po na ipagpatuloy yung pang-oppose sa waste incineration. Salamat, sir, sa opportunity po na ito pag-appear namin sa National
Sir, meron po
Press
ba
Club.
kayong mga upcoming activities para ipakita ang protesta dyan sa nangyayari sa Cebu? Dahil very alarming itong development dito, no? Yung kasunduan or kontrata dyan sa Cebu na nangyari kung saan paggamit ng incinerators yung plano dyan. Meron po ba kayong mga upcoming events to protest?
Si Sir TEODY po ang makakasagot ng mga upcoming events sa Cebu.
Okay. Okay, Sir Jody, meron po ba kayong mga kinakasang kilos protesta pa dyan?
Yes.
Any upcoming?
Actually, as apart from sa mga open engagement, we are actually trying to consolidate the residents who are supposed to be affected by the construction of the WTE facility. But of course, part of our agenda would be this coming State of the Nation, wherein we will see to it that the city government will be able we will convey our message to them that it's not good to pursue constructing WTE plant. So we will be having mass actions, and right now we focus on internal consolidation. So we have this as a series of focus group discussions and community discussions to aware
You
the
have
public on
participation from the church?
Come-
Church participation from the
Yes.
church.
Yes, we are having dialogues with the Catholic Church, and in fact, we will sit down with Bishop Palma for this.
Okay.
Ayun, maganda, maganda. Kung at least yung simbahan makiisa rin dyan sa inyong kampanya kontra sa paggamit ng incinerators. All right, sir. Baka meron pa po kayong final words ngayong araw?
May sasabihin? Si Yobel po may sasabihin, sir?
Yes, go ahead po.
Yes. So we are going to continue campaigning against incineration in Asia, and for Philippines, the fight against waste to energy bill, because conflicting, as TEODY said, on the Renewable Energy Act, but also on the Clean Air Act of the Philippines, which explicitly ban incineration. This is the only ban on incineration nationwide that we've known in Asia. So it's a huge win, and if waste energy is being proposed here, it's a very sad thing for me to hear. And on top of that, also the Asian Development Bank, because we know we are being seen as a home of pollution, plastic. But that's not really the case if the money flows to the right way, to the right solution. And now ADB is financing, as you hear, not only to the Philippines in Cebu, but also in Maldives, in my country, Indonesia, in Solo, it's also being financed. Also in India, a lot of countries in Asia are being affected by this financing. And we want the money to flow to the community, to the right solution, but also take care of the earth, take care of the private sector's needs for more money. So that would be our goal. We ask everyone to continue supporting our campaign, be vocal about it, because it's not only about money or environmental thing, it's also a matter of survival for us through the climate crisis, and also the health protection for us, also children, and also for loved ones. So that will be my remarks. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Sir Yoel. How about Ma'am Sonia? Your final message?
Tutuloy po namin ang laban sa incineration at sa waste to energy. Pero itutuloy din po namin ang aming zero waste programs. Kasi yun po ang tunay na solusyon, hindi siya alternatibo. Ang alternatibo yung sinasabi nilang incineration na waste to energy. Kasi po ang zero waste, lahat po yan lahat ng tao doon sa community sumasali. It's a community organizing. Yung mga waste workers po ay nakikinabang. Like sa San Fernando po, 400 waste workers po ang na-create na 400 jobs, green jobs. Dito sa isang barangay sa Malabon, 140 workers kaagad 40 workers sa isang barangay lang. So it's green jobs. At natutuwa po yung mga kababaihan dyan, meron daw silang ginagawa, nangungulekta sila ng segregated waste, imbes na nagtotong its lang daw sila. So meron po silang kita, at yung isa nga pong in-interview sa TV nung sabi niya, dati kumakain sila parang once a day lang, ngayon daw with waste workers allowance, 3 times a day na po sila. So meron din pong talagang positive effect yung zero waste program. So,
Okay, well said.
incineration po, wala talaga.
Well said po. Okay, salamat po. At Sir TEODY, your final words? Sir TEODY.
Makakaasa po kayong lahat sa lahat ng mga nandito ngayon sa press conference na pangunahan namin ang paglaban sa incineration. And in fact, we are doing all in every front, in every arena, in every battle that we will pursue. We will see to it that we will ultimately succeed.
Okay.
All right. Maraming salamat po, Sir TEODY, sa inyong pong mensahe. At ang National Press Club po ay kasama nyo rin po sa pagsuporta sa inyo pong laban na yan. Okay. Meron pa po bang nais magsalita from GMA Asia Pacific?
Thank you.
Or si Sir Putra ba? Nandiyan ba? Okay. Wala na si Sir Putra ba?
Siguro, the next few days Mag-radio hop kayo. Radio hopping. Ha?
Oo, maganda. Mapalawak yung discussion natin yan sa pagkontra sa paggamit ng incinerators dahil nga talagang lubhang nakakabahala yung paggamit ng incinerators sa ating bansa at sa ibang bansa rin dahil nga sa polusyon at sakit na may dudulot sa ating katawan, sa ating kalusugan. All right, okay. At
Thank you.
diyan nagtatapos ang ating isa ng mga episode ng Meet the Press Report to the Nation ng National Press Club. At ito po ang inyong lingkod, NPC Director Benedict Abaygar.
At ako naman sila kay Rolly Gonzalo, dating presidente ng National Press Club.
At
tuloy niyo ang inyong laban at sumusuporta kami sa inyo.
Yes. At ng DWIZ.
Yes, of course.
Huwag makakalimutan. Siyempre. At muli, maraming salamat po sa ating mga panauhin at tuloy ang ating laban kasama niyo po ang National Press Club.
Thank you.
Salamat po.
Salamat po. Salamat sa lahat. Thank you. Maraming salamat.
Thank you po.
Welcome to the Report to the Nation Media Forum of the National Press Club, where you get only the news and information that truly matters. Join us every week for discussion of the issues that affect our nation and our future. This program is a production of the National Press Club of the Philippines